to Career Uprising. I'm your host and professional career coach, Lorraine Rise. Join me as I guide you through an amazing journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you are looking for work, changing careers, or stuck in a toxic job, then this is the show for you. I offer both practical and spiritual guidance to help you up-level and advance your career. Let's start the uprising. Hey everybody, you are listening to episode 15, Changing Careers Part 2, The What. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome back. I'm Lorraine Rise, as you might know. You're listening to another episode of the show. I hope you guys are doing wonderful out there. I'm having a great start to the week, and I'm excited today because we are tackling the second installment of my first series that I've done on the show. It's a 3-part series on changing careers, which is such a big thing, and I'm so excited for this series. I feel like I've already been getting some good feedback, and I got a listener question actually after last week, after the first installment of this. So we'll talk about that more in just a second. But if you are coming in kind of in the middle of it and you didn't catch the first installment, the first part of it last week, you can always go back, of course, into the archives and get episode 14. That's on infloradio.com. So what we did in that one is we really kind of conquered that first step of determining what is your why, as I call it, your motivation for wanting to change careers in the first place. You need to have a strong reason for why you're doing this in order to be able to follow through on it. So that's always your first step, but a lot of people overlook that. So great episode last week, number 14. You can go ahead and catch up on that at any time. But even if you haven't heard that, listen through today. You'll still get quite a bit out of this, which is going to be the what. So that's, what do I want to do? What career? Now that I know why I want to make a change, what do I want to do that will serve me and match my priorities? So we're going to kick it up a notch even more today and go through that second step of figuring out what is the next career move for you that will match your motivation and match your priorities and that why that you uncovered in the first episode. And what I'm going to do is share with you 2 specific resources today that I use when I'm coaching clients in my private practice to identify that right career. All right. One of them is a little bit basic. It's free. And so it's fairly just kind of simplistic, but it's still very, very valuable. And I really want to share it with everyone. And then the second one is a little bit more complex. So you might need someone like myself or another career coach or someone to kind of interpret that one for you. So we'll talk about those 2 resources that are available for folks who are changing careers. And it's very, very helpful. So stick around for the whole show to get both of those. But regardless of today is going to be an excellent episode. It's going to be full of information and resources for those who are going through a transition. And so like I mentioned too, I actually got a listener question that came in after last week's show from a listener who is making a career transition, and she is going into human resources, which I know a little something about that. I made a transition into that, as you might know, a couple of years ago before I transitioned again into being a business owner. So I will be answering her question live on the air today. So stay tuned for that as well. We have a big agenda. And I want to give you guys, of course, my usual reminder to call in, because if you've been following me in my Facebook community and my email list, you might know that I'm giving away free gifts to every live caller in the month of July. And I was able to give one away last week. That was so exciting. So if you have been on the fence or thinking maybe about calling into the show, this would be a great one to do wherever you're at in your career. But really specifically, if you are looking to change jobs, this would be a good one. You'll get some tips and some guidance from me on the call, but you'll also get a free gift. So I have a wealth of tip sheets, guides, ebooks, all kinds of things that I have developed over the last couple of years, really all around job searching. So I'm going to let you pick the one that will be most meaningful to you. All you got to do is call in and chat with me. So what you can do for that is the number is 1-760-456-7277. That's 1-760-456-7277. And you could be my lucky caller and one of my lucky winners as well. I love giving away free stuff. It's fun. All right. And I love chatting with you guys too. So, all right. Now, I also want to share with you guys a great success that I had just in the last couple of weeks. I posted a blog article. I write blog articles fairly frequently. I've been writing for about the last 3 years or so. I've got on my blog site, I think I have some 75, 80 articles that I've written over the last couple of years. And so I still put them out about once or twice a month. And I posted one in a LinkedIn group that I'm a member of about 2 weeks ago. And it went absolutely crazy, you guys. And what I mean by crazy is just the response that I got. Hundreds and hundreds of people were liking it, commenting it, sharing it. I had a number of people from all over the world actually reach out to me, and it really just resonated with people. And I love it when that happens. I had that happen 1 or 2 times also last fall with a couple different articles. You never know what's going to strike a nerve with people, but obviously I did, because I got an overwhelming response from this article, and it was called Dealing with Setbacks in Your Job Search. Dealing with setbacks in your job search. And the funny thing is about this article is that it had no actual job search advice in the article. It was focused solely on the emotional aspect of the search and dealing with the frustration and the so-called rejection that comes with not getting chosen for a job that you really wanted. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? You know, you work really hard, you put all the applications out there, and especially if you go on interview, maybe 2, 3 interviews with a company, and then you're not chosen. I remember that feeling. It can be really devastating, especially if you are unemployed, you're losing money every month. You know, when you get those rejections and those setbacks emotionally, it really can derail you, and it can really prevent you from wanting to move forward and continue applying and continue your job search. It's just so demotivating, and I completely understand that. So I wrote this article as kind of an antidote for that, of how you can get through that and prepare yourself for that and not let it derail you and not let it just stop your job search altogether, because that's so critical. And so I was really blown away by the response. I'm so glad that so many people loved this article. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, and if you want to get the blog articles, I would say sign up for my email list. That's the best way to ensure you get all of them. I don't always post all of them on social media. I have to say, I'm just not that regular about that stuff. I wish I was more consistent, I guess, and more on it. But that particular one I did. So the best way to make sure that you get all of them and that you don't miss a beat is to go to worksmartcounseling.com. Right at the bottom of the homepage, you can sign up, get on my email list. You'll get them all by email, but you can go to my website as well and find that article, Dealing with Setbacks in Your Job Search. What I will also do as a little bonus for my Facebook community, just to make it easy for you guys so you don't have to go hunting for it, I'll post it tomorrow in the Facebook group, Career Uprising. So look out for that tomorrow, because I want all of you, if you didn't read it, to get a chance to read it, because it seemed to help so many people. And I am so grateful for that. All right. So look out for that article tomorrow. All right. So let's kick off our discussion today. And I came across a quote from Sheryl Sandberg a couple of weeks ago that I loved, and I saved it for this episode because I think that it's perfect. It's a great quote on changing career paths. And she said, "Careers are not a ladder. They're a jungle gym." That's it. Simple, one sentence. I love that. Careers are not a ladder. They're a jungle gym. And what she means is, I think that she's urging people to kind of let go of that typical straight and narrow linear progression that we typically apply to our careers, feeling like there always has to be upward movement, or there always has to be a promotion or an increase in title or whatever it is. I think we tend to get hung up on those things sometimes, and we're worried about, maybe taking a step backwards or even a step sideways, or, and sometimes those things are necessary, especially in the long run. So, and I know I've certainly done that. I've certainly taken steps forwards, backwards, and sideways. And it's always worthwhile, I think. There's a little bit of trial and error sometimes that goes into our careers, but I think we really could benefit from letting go of that linear concept of careers, because that viewpoint really is very limited. And I don't think that a linear career even makes sense for everyone, right? This desire to have a linear, logically progressing career sometimes I think can keep us from taking chances and doing different things, taking risks. So I just wanted to share that with you guys really quick. And so let's get into this second part here, the what, okay? Once you know why you want to make a career change, then you have to figure out what. And I think this is one of the biggest hurdles for people, either this or step 3 that we'll talk about next week. So some people may already know what career they want to change into. Sometimes this is very apparent. It's just a matter of, how do I get there? How do I get hired for it? How do I get that first initial experience? But for some people, it's not readily apparent. They don't know exactly what that next move should look like. And like I mentioned, a lot of people sometimes have to go through some trial and error before they get to the kind of work that really suits them. And sometimes it's surprising what it is. I think we should let life surprise us sometimes. The best careers often are ones that we kind of, quote, fall into. Sometimes those can be really good ones. We don't set out to do it, but we give it a try and realize that we love it. So you might recall, if you heard step 1 last week, there is an acronym that I've developed called ISP. It stands for Interests, Strengths, and Priorities. And that's what we explored last week. Your next career really needs to align with those 3 items. It's got to be something that you have a genuine interest in, that you have the general knowledge and skills for, and that aligns with your values and priorities. So you have to be crystal clear on all 3 of those things. So if you've done the exercises that I recommended last week in the first part, then hopefully you at least have some clarity in your direction. You may have maybe identified that, you want to do something more creative or more artistic, or at least that you want to do something in the healthcare industry. That's enough clarity to get you started, even if you don't know the job title. So at this point, you probably have at least a good starting point. So then from your starting point, we want to start identifying some job titles then that might be of interest to you. And like I said, I always tell clients, be careful not to get too hung up on job titles. We rarely ever know the exact title of the next job that you're going to get. Sometimes if it's very clear cut, okay, you're going for a project manager or PMP, yes, that's pretty clear cut. But sometimes for some people, job titles are really ambiguous, and they're not always a good description of what you actually do either. But I do understand that that when you are job searching, you typically search via a job title. So I know you want to probably narrow it down at least a little bit. So here's one resource that I have given to clients, and I've gotten honestly very good feedback. Clients have really, really liked this site. I love it too. Of course, I'm kind of a career nerd. I love this thing anyway. But one resource, if you are exploring new career paths that might help you, is a website called ONET. So it's the letter O apostrophe NET, and O stands for occupation. So you can go to ONETONLINE.org. So that's ONET Online. It's kind of a hard web address, but it's ONETOnline.org. And I've had, like I said, I've had clients use this site and give me great feedback on it. And it's made actually by the Department of Labor. But what I like about it too is it's essentially a database of every job out there that exists. So it's very, very comprehensive. And really, in my opinion, it's the place to go to start doing research on a new career path. It's very user-friendly. You can browse through different career clusters and groups and, put in whatever search criteria you want. If you're looking for a certain salary, certain skills you want to use, whatever it is, and it's going to pull up a database of matching career options that you can get a ton of information on. Or if you have a specific occupation in mind, maybe you know what job you want, but you want to get more information on it, like the salary, the growth trends, the working conditions, what are the skill and education requirements. It's got it all, guys. This website is a beautiful, beautiful starting point to get some clarity on, I want to do this and I want to use this skill. What careers are out there or available that will allow me to do that? This is a great starting point. It's called ONET. If you don't get the URL right, just do a Google search for the letter O and then space NET. It will totally come up, guys. Okay. They even have on there, I love this, a short little free career assessment that you can take called the ONET Interest Profiler. It takes like 2 minutes to take. It's really, really fast. And it will give you some good baseline suggestions, but it's quite accurate. I've taken it myself. And naturally, it told me I should be an entrepreneur. So the answers, I think, will make sense to you. But it breaks it down into 6 basic categories. They are realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. Okay, so all the careers out there are kind of broken down into these 6 overarching categories. And then there's plenty of information that you can drill down into to find careers that match your types and your strengths. So you can click on the ones that it says that you are the strongest in, and it will give you suggested careers based on the level of training and education that they may require. It's simply amazing, guys. I love this website. Now, the quiz is very high level and simplistic, okay? But it's, like I said, it's a good starting point, and it's more than enough, I think, to just get you going and point you in the right direction. So I would say whether you know what job you want or you don't, and you're just exploring, this website has a wealth of information for you. So what I can do also is post the links to ONET and the interest profiler, again, in my Facebook group, Career Uprising. In case you guys haven't noticed, that's where I post all the critical information. I built that group really just to be an awesome place for the fans of the show to kind of mingle with each other, ask me questions, but get extra resources right at their fingertips. So I will make all of those available to you guys, my lovely followers in that group. And it's just another bonus of being part of my community. So if you haven't joined, go ahead and do that. Public group, easy to find. Just search Career Uprising. It's all one word. For me, I made Uprising all one word. I don't know if it was before, but it is now. So, okay. I think this might be a good opportunity for me to take a minute and answer as best I can the listener question that came in via Facebook last week, right after the show. So I'm going to read to you what this listener said, and I think that this might help some other folks as well. She says, I'm looking at moving into a career in HR. I have a master's degree in organizational communication, but spent most of my career working in sourcing and procurement. Do I need a degree or a certificate to move into HR? Or can I use my transferable skills, which are diversity and inclusion, training, marketing, coaching, that type of thing? And then she says, at the age of 50, I don't want to go back to school. Totally understand that. I don't want to go back to school and get a full degree. So is it even possible to make this change into HR without going back to school and getting a degree? Well, my friend, that's a great question. And one, to answer it just kind of in short, it might be possible. It might be possible. So it's going to depend on a couple of different things. So HR has a number of different branches. Just HR in general is very, very broad. That can mean a lot of different things. So diversity and inclusion is one, which she mentioned she has those skills, which is good. Training and development is another. But then there's payroll and benefits. There's hiring and recruiting. There's even risk management and compliance. There's a lot of different things. So and depending on what level you want to enter and what branch, whether or not you can get in with a degree, it might vary. But I would say, in short, yes, it might very well might be possible. So, because a lot of careers do have crossover into HR, and a lot of the ones that she mentioned there, like I said, training, diversity, coaching, even a little bit, yeah, those all have crossover. So, I definitely think that, to my listener, you should definitely write your resume in a way that does highlight those transferable skills as much as possible. So, go through your work history if you haven't done so already, and carefully pull out anything that is HR related and pretty much leave off most everything else that isn't. And really, really look at those job descriptions carefully and hold it side by side to your resume and make sure that you're getting as close to it as you can. Okay. Now, for some people, that alone may or may not be enough, depending on what your experience is and what you want to do in HR. Now, let me share with you really quick one thing that I did as I was preparing to enter HR a couple of years ago. And this may benefit my listener as well. So I went and got what's called a graduate certificate in HR. So I was thinking about making the transition. I knew I was generally had an interest in HR and I had some crossover skill, but I was really in the exact same place as this gal. So what I did is I went to a local university and took just a short-term, I think it was about 3-month graduate certificate. So it wasn't a full degree. It was part of more of their kind of continuing education program for adults, so you don't have to be admitted as a full student. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to make sure that HR was really the direction I wanted to go, and I wanted to just learn more about the profession without making a huge time and money commitment of getting a full degree. And those graduate certificates can be really good for that. Plus, it's something then that you can add to your resume, that you have formal training in HR. So it kind of shows that you are committed to the field. You're not just trying to rely on transferable skills. You actually went and enrolled in a program, which always, I think, helps. But it can also just teach you more about the profession and kind of help you find your niche within it, which there then can help you to refine your resume and refine your approach even more. Okay, so I would suggest to you, my friend, to research universities in your local area, see if there's either a community college or a full-blown university that offers short-term certificate programs in HR. And that could be a really good starting point for you, all right? Because you can be a generalist in HR, you can specialize, there's a lot of different things. And if you don't have it yet, you're probably going to want to get clarity on kind of where you fit in within HR. The other thing that I would say is, and I would say this, you'll hear more about this, I think, in next week, but I'll touch on it now. To anyone making a career change. Find a mentor. Find someone who is doing what you want to be doing and get their advice. It can be somebody you know already, but if you don't know someone, so for example, for my listener, if she doesn't know somebody who's in HR already, find someone on LinkedIn. It's okay to find a perfect stranger and approach them with a message and ask them if they'd be willing to do an informational interview. The best way to get information and resources about making a career change is from someone who's done it, someone who's already there doing what you want to be doing. So I would highly recommend, if you haven't done so already, go either within your own network or on LinkedIn and find somebody whose experience and whose job is fascinating to you and you like. Send a couple people some messages, some emails, and ask them, would they be willing to get on the phone with you for just a couple minutes so you can get their expertise and kind of pick their brain about how did they get into that profession. Trust me, a lot of people will be willing to do that. People love being asked for advice. Let's be honest, a lot of people like that. So there are people out there who will reply and be willing to kind of get on the phone with you. Not everyone will, but you need to find a mentor. You need to align yourself with someone who's already a couple of steps ahead of you, doing what you want to be doing. And that is so, so critical. No matter what field you want to get into, you can learn a wealth of information from somebody who's already in that job, and they can advise you on changing your resume or, how to get in. How did they get into it? So that would be my other piece of advice for you as well. So I hope that helps. I love getting listener questions. So if you too have a question, I would say the best thing to do would be to call in to this episode, because then I could kind of coach you a little bit right on the spot. Or you can certainly email me your question to Lorraine@careeruprising.com. And it's LORRAINE at careeruprising.com. Or you can join the Career Uprising Facebook group or the Inflow Radio Facebook group. There's so many ways you can send it, but I love listener questions. So if you're not able to call in, that is something that you can do. Okay. So I think now is probably a good time to pause for a moment and take a quick commercial break. There's plenty more coming, so this will give you time to call in if you want to, and I'd be happy to help you through whatever you're going through. But I have another resource that I'm going to share with you guys in just a moment when we get back from the break, and this will take it even a step further. This is an even more in-depth resource for career exploration. Okay? All right. Talk to you guys soon. We're on a short break again, and I have a question for you. Are you looking for a new job, but you don't know where to start? Many clients don't know how to launch an effective job search, and they spend months or even years looking. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. My coaching program, Career Jumpstart, is an excellent solution for those who know what job they want, but they need a plan for how to get there. In this program, I will personally guide you on how to confidently and authentically market yourself to employers, resulting in a better job faster. If that sounds like what you need, head over to my website, worksmartcounseling.com, and apply for the Career Jumpstart program today. That's WorkSmart, COUNSELING.com. All right, let's finish up our show. I'd love to answer your questions. Give me a call in today's episode, recorded live, by dialing the U.S. number 1-760-456-7277. That's 1-760-456-7277, and let's see how we can improve your career. And we are back. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. We have a ton more to go through here in part 2 of our 3-part series. So prior to the break, I kind of gave you guys one kind of really great but basic resource for helping you to identify that next career path, and that was ONET. Great website. So there is one more resource that I use even more hands-on with clients that I coach. And it's similar to the ONET interest profiler, but much more comprehensive. And it's essentially a career counseling assessment. And it's very, very good at doing, well, a lot of things, but one of them is getting clarity on your career path. So, and it's called a DISC assessment, DISC. Now, I will admit that when I first started my coaching practice a couple of years ago, I didn't use any kind of assessments. I didn't know if I really even believed in them. I guess there's so many different types of career counseling assessments out there on the market. There's a lot of choices. And I just wasn't 100% sure that was something that I wanted to put in my practice. I felt like I kind of wanted to take a little bit more of an organic approach with clients and just, kind of get to know them and use some career exploration questions, and we would kind of feel our way through it. And for some clients, that did work. Absolutely. And to a certain extent, I still do that a lot. I have a big set of questions that I go through to kind of help clients gain clarity on that. But I did decide to make a change a little less than a year ago, and I did a lot of research, and I really, really came to love the DISC assessments. They are very, very easy to use. They're very comprehensive, and they're very accurate. And of course, I wanted to take it myself first. I've taken a couple variations of it and really apply it to myself. I think that's critical. I wanted to apply it to myself before I applied it to my clients, but I'm happy to say that I've been converted. I've been converted. There is so much clarity and just and information and just such a great perspective sometimes that comes out of these reports that I use them now on virtually all of my coaching clients. So I kind of had to go through a little bit of a process and get certified and get educated on them. So I'm authorized to administer them because it's not one of those things that anyone can just kind of go out there and do it. There's a lot that goes into it. So, but yeah, I chose the DISC assessment and I love them because of how easy they are to use and how accurate they are. So the report that you get is very lofty. It's very comprehensive, and there's many variations of it out there. There's one specifically for career path exploration. There's ones just for sales professionals, one's just for managers. There's a lot of customization to it, and you're likely going to need someone to help you to interpret it. You probably are, because it's like 35 pages long. There's a lot of charts and graphs, some of them which I think aren't always necessary, but I typically take an entire coaching session to walk clients through it, and sometimes more than one. Oftentimes we come back and revisit it again later in the life of their program because there's so many different uses for it. But what the report does is provides you a great overview of you, your top strengths, your kind of blind spots or weaknesses in a professional sense, your communication style, the way that you communicate with others and the way that you need others to communicate with you, and just your overall value to an employer. You've probably heard that you're supposed to develop a value proposition to employers, and a lot of people don't really know what that means. So the report is really good at helping you to know what do you bring to an organization professionally? What problems do you solve? What are your top strengths beyond just saying, oh, I'm highly organized. It's much better than that. So when I say it tells you what your strengths are, yeah, it does a lot better than just saying, oh, you're very organized or very prompt. It goes so much deeper than that and gives you I would say, real world applications for what your strengths are. Okay, great. You're very organized. Well, what does that mean for the company? How does that translate really into something that you can do? That's what the report shows you. So, kind of to give you an example off of mine, one of the strengths that my report says that I have, it says just like this. It says you understand people very well and rely on that understanding to lead, persuade, and motivate, right? So a lot of people, kind of in plain English, to them, that's like, oh, you're a people person, or oh, you're good with people. Well, that's so general. What does that mean? You know, it's just so surface level to be like, oh yeah, I'm good at working with people. But it's different to say, no, I understand people. I have a natural ability to really understand and relate to people. And it enables me to be able to effectively lead and persuade and motivate people of all personalities. Whoa, those are two different things, right? I think you would agree, if you were an employer, you'd rather hear that second statement. It tells you so much more. This is just a glimpse of what these reports can show you. I'm a big fan of them. And I think we need to kind of graduate from talking about our strengths in such a vague way, you know, instead saying, you know, like I said, I have a natural ability to understand people, and how do you use it? The employer wants to know, how do you use that strength? How will that benefit them? So you have to really take it to the next level. And we can talk more about that in a future episode. When we talk about interviews, I really want to do an entire episode all about how to articulate your value and your strengths to employers in a really effective way. So another great thing that the DISC reports can do is, if you have the right kind of report, is make suggestions on career paths. So let me kind of get back to that, because that's our theme today, right? So if you have the most comprehensive one, which is one of the ones that I administer in my career transformation program, I use it just for clients who are going through transitions, because there's kind of an extra addendum on the end of it, that based on your answers, it will generate a list of kind of career types or career clusters for people who have your natural skills and strengths, and then allows you to do more research and gives you more information on where you can go for that. So it's very, very important that you find a career that is built upon your most natural strengths, not just the things that you can do if you have to, okay, but the things that come most easily to you, because that's what's going to enable this career change to be sustainable for you long term, so that you don't get burnt out, right? We tend to get burned out when a job forces us to kind of be somebody that we're not for a long period of time. This is something that a DISC report will also show you, is your natural versus your adapted style. Who are you naturally, and who are you when you have to adapt in front of other people? So you get burned out when you're in a job that is asking you to be in your adapted style all the time, and you can't really be yourself. All right. So that makes a big difference. I don't want you to have to feel like you're faking it. That can get exhausting. So I'm sure many of you out there know what I'm talking about with that. But so I would definitely urge you to consider, if you want to work with me or whoever, but find somebody who is authorized to administer a DISC assessment. If the ONET doesn't quite go far enough and you really, really want more in-depth help about finding the right career path and how to interview confident, authentically, and just know what your value is, a DISC assessment can be absolutely amazing for that. All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to switch gears for a second, because this show is all about having both the practical, day-to-day kind of advice, the nitty-gritty of, you know, what do I have to do? But we also need that high-level kind of spiritual, emotional view of all of this. We need the big picture, right? You need a good balance of both of those things. So you may recall from episode 4, I did an episode called Setting an Intention for Your Job Search. And that was another episode that I got great feedback on that people really, really liked was how to kind of go within and set an intention and a direction. Well, you can do that same exact thing when you're making a career change. So if you don't know exactly what that next move is, but you just feel it, you feel that there's something out there, something more, something different that you're supposed to be doing, but you lack the clarity on what it is, there is a way that you can get guidance from that. We want to pull in the energies and the guidances that are available to you, all right? And you can get insights on what your next move is. And I think that the best way to do this is to focus on how you want this new career to make you feel. Because at the end of the day, I mean, that's what you're chasing, right? You want your career to make you feel differently. That's why you want to change it. There's something broken. There's something missing. You want to maybe feel more fulfilled, more creative, more energized, whatever it may be. Or maybe you just need to pay your bills, right? Maybe you're just not making ends meet. But here's the thing. Unless you're going to, I don't want you to focus too much on the money here, because unless you're doing volunteer work, okay, you're going to get paid in your career. We know that. So you can make that a part of it, that you're looking for something that rewards you, and compensates you wonderfully. But really, I want you to focus on the emotional aspect of it. How do you want this new career to make you feel? And this is what I've done. So I'm going to share with you a little exercise right now. Okay. And so if you're able to do it with me, awesome. If not, you can do it later and come back to this recording. But if it were me and I was getting ready to go through some kind of transition, I wanted to make some kind of big move, but I just wasn't sure what it was or how to do it, here's what I would do. I would close my eyes for just a minute and just relax, get comfortable, and then either out loud or in your mind, whichever you prefer, set a strong intention for this career change and focus on your desired emotional state. And let me give you an example, okay? It might sound something like this. So feel free to close your eyes and go with me right now if you want to do this. All right? But this is what it might sound like. My intention is to draw into my life a fantastic new career path. Something that will make me feel satisfied and purposeful. Something that will use my greatest strengths and talents. Something I'm passionate about, can get excited about every day. I want something that will provide me an excellent, stable income. I'll never have to worry about money ever again. What does the world need? What does the world need that I can provide? How can I be of service? Send me a clear, strong sign regarding what this new path is. I'm going to just surrender and let go of any preconceived notions I have about what it is, what it's called, where it's at, even anything like that. I'm just going to be completely open and just know that I want to feel amazing with this new career opportunity. Like I am giving to the world and it is giving back to me. So show me a sign, something that I cannot ignore, something that will be clear and meaningful to me. I'll know it when I see it. And I'll trust it and I'll act on it. And I remove all conditions and expectations on what this path should be, other than it's going to make me happy. It's going to make me happy and serve the world at large. And it will compensate me in a way that I can do more than just get by. I can thrive. So now as I kind of open my eyes and return to my surroundings, I will be looking for signs in the days and the weeks ahead. I'm going to be looking for signs of this brilliant new career path. And I'm eagerly waiting guidance on what it shall be. So there you go. What do you think? Does that feel awkward? Feel good? Not sure? You can call it a meditation. You can call it whatever you want. I just kind of call it setting an intention, because when you set an intention, you set a direction. And if you're going through a career change, you likely need help getting a direction, right? So consider doing that. Come back to this recording again if you want to hear me say that, and adjust it as you need, of course. That's just what I would say. But I want you to focus on how you want this new career to make you feel. And I think you might be pretty blown away at the clarity that can come from doing that. And do it more than once. But you're going to need a healthy blend and balance of the spiritual, the high levels, big picture, and the practical kind of day to day. We're marrying the two on this show. That is what's going to get you the fastest results and the most clarity. Okay. So, like I said, feel free to adapt that as you wish, as you need to. I'm just going to give you a little peek into what I would do and what I have done. So you're going to get my personal practice there. But it's been highly effective for me. And feel free to do it as often as you need. Take just 5 minutes or so at the beginning of each day to kind of reconnect with your mission and your intention, and remind yourself that you're not alone in this transition. There is guidance. There are signs, and there is this little thing you have called intuition. Use it. Use it. All right. All right. And if you need some more help with that, there's another show here on Inflow Radio all about how to use your intuition. It's called Blissful Quests. Oh, you should totally listen to it. If you need help if you want to explore that side of it a little bit more and finding clarity and using your intuition, listen to Doyle Ward's show, Blissful Quest. It's wonderful. And he's really, really, really good at kind of helping you to dig deeper into that and get clarity. So, all right. So let's talk about a few action steps as we kind of approach the last couple of minutes. I want to leave you with some action steps that you can take to kind of start implementing this, because that's where the magic is going to happen. It's one thing to just listen to the show, but you got to get out there and you got to take action. Okay. So before next week's show, and when we're going to conclude this series, I would say start by doing the exercise that I just did and set an intention. That is always the starting point. Okay. So play around with that a little bit, be open to it. Pull in your greater self, pull in whatever you want to call it, the universe, God, doesn't matter, okay? It's all available to you. So pull that in and ask for clarity on what your next move should be. What would be the most meaningful career for you to have right now? Then begin looking for that confirmation and let your emotions guide you, okay? So when you hear about or read about a career path and it evokes some kind of emotional reaction in you, you start to get excited or interested, like, what's that? I hadn't thought about that. That's a good sign, all right? Means you're getting warmer, so you should follow it. Then look into the resources that I just shared with you. Start doing some research on what interests you. Go to ONET. Contact me, we'll do a disc assessment and do 1 or 2 coaching sessions in there so you can kind of get clarity. And sometimes just having another person's perspective too, oh my gosh, can be so good. We're usually not very objective about ourselves. Sometimes some people are good at that, but some people aren't. So that's okay. But take note of, what you learn about yourself, what interests you as you start doing this exploration and going to these websites. Start looking for trends. What are you gravitating towards? And write it down. The goal here is to learn something about yourself and isolate those top skills and job functions that you want to be performing, and then go explore those careers and talk to people who are doing those jobs. All right. But that about wraps up the lesson for today. So let me give you a little bit of a preview too of what's coming for next week, because I have kind of a special treat for you guys next week, definitely. So we're going to wrap up this series, and we're going to talk about the how of changing careers. And what I mean by that is largely the job search, right? Because that's how, now, once you know what you want to do, you got to come up with a roadmap of how am I going to get there? How am I going to sell the employers on this? How am I going to change my resume? How am I going to, change my LinkedIn? How should I answer the interview questions that are going to come up and position myself as a competitive candidate for this? So next week is very much going to be the practical, the nitty gritty, the job search, that type of thing. We're going to go pretty deep into that. And I have kind of a method, a 3-step job search strategy and process that I coach my clients very in depth on. And I'll give you guys a little bit of a preview of it if you're not familiar with it yet. But that's something that you will definitely want to tune in for next week, because we're going to go through my personal 3-step process that is very effective and very different than just going online and applying for whatever you see that way. So we'll also talk about the use of transferable skills, because that's something that I get questions on. So we'll dig into that a little bit deeper next week as well, and talk about what that is, what that means, and and I'm going to share with you a story of somebody who did very effectively use transferable skills. So I do hope you stick around for that. And in the meantime, too, join me in my Facebook group. You can send me a connection request on LinkedIn. If you like what you hear, you want to take it a little bit further, there's so many ways that you can do that. And what I have also coming next week that's super special and hits very, very close to home is I'm going to be telling you guys the story of somebody very close to me who made a phenomenal career change just about a year and a half ago. And it's my husband. So I'm going to be sharing with you briefly next week his story, because I'm so stinking proud of him. He made a truly, truly incredible transition. The career that he started out with right out of college is really like in no way related to what he's doing now. And there's been so many times he's shared with people what he's done, and they're like, what? You did what? So it's a great story. I have his full permission, God bless him, to share the story. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my husband's transition that he made. So that's going to be a good one. So if you are going through a career change, contemplating one, I would also say consider working with me one-on-one. I love this. I still love the one-on-one as a coach. I am not burnt out on that at all. I love it. It's so effective. And I've designed a program exactly for this. So if you go to my website, you'll see I have 2 coaching programs. One is more for someone who wants help just kind of with the job search strategy, interviewing skills. They know what job they want. They just need help kind of with the how to get there. But if you need help actually exploring career paths and knowing what is right for you, the career transformation is the program for you. That's kind of my signature program. So you can read all about that on my website if you want. But even better, what you might want to do is go back and listen to episodes 5 and episodes 12, where I actually interview 2 former clients who went through that very program. And big news, I'm getting ready in August to interview a 3rd client who went through the exact same program and just got a phenomenal job offer. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to share his story with you as well. Be on the lookout in August for another client success story from that program. So wonderful, wonderful. So head over, like I said, to my website or my Facebook group if you want more information about those. But next week, we have so many goodies. So you're going to get my husband's story. You're going to get the 3-step job search strategy that I have called Research, Connect, and Apply. You're going to get a ton, guys. Okay. So I thank you so much. I'm kind of bummed I didn't get to give away a free gift. You guys must be shy. That's okay. So you have actually 2 more opportunities for live shows in July. If you want to call in, it will not be too late. So I would strongly urge you to do that next week before your opportunity goes away to get a free gift just for calling in and chatting with me. So that wraps it up, guys, for today. But until next week, I hope you have a beautiful week, and I want you to go out there into the world. I'm going to turn you loose. Go out there, guys, and be great. All right? I'll talk to you next time. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please consider giving the show a positive review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help to spread the word so that others can learn about the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to connect with you again next time on Career Uprising.
This show is brought to you by InflowRadio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.